Techniques to consider concentration meditation and insight meditation. In order to gain thorough knowledge and clear understanding for correct practice when studying concentration, samadhi, and insight vipassana, there need to be principles about them which will be advantageous for meditation practitioners. The principles to consider concentration meditation, insight meditation. 1. What are concentration and insight? 2. When will mind develop concentration and insight? When will mind not develop concentration and insight? 3. Where will concentration and insight be developed? Where to practice concentration and insight meditation? 4. Why do concentration and insight meditation have to be practiced? 5. How to practice concentration meditation and insight meditation. How are the results of the practices? Explanation. 1. What are concentration, samadhi, and insight vipassana? Concentration, samadhi, means one-pointedness of mind. Mind is not conditioned when touched by external sense objects, mental establishment for mental calmness. One-pointedness of mind can be developed by training mind according to Buddhist teachings. The standard Buddhist means is mindfulness on breathing, anapanasati. This is to train mind to be mindful of respiration at the tip of the nose. Since concentration is a practice of mind, it is necessary that we know well about mind and its characteristics for good understanding of its nature. It will be really advantageous for our practice. Mind is one component of life, and it is the essential one. This might be unknown to somebody. If the mind does not stay with the body, it means that life is dead. That is why the mind is the most essential part of the body. The mind is intangible and invisible. Mind in Buddhism means that the state of consciousness which performs knowing, perceiving, remembering sense objects, and thinking about them. Because of the mind, we perceive feelings rising as the six sense doors. If we study to know clearly about mind and the state of mind which concerns concentration and insight, it will be advantageous for concentration and insight meditation because they are exercised for training the mind to cultivate one-pointedness, calmness, and wisdom. What makes us understand clearly about mind are the feelings which are sense objects appearing at sense doors. Since we have mind, we have feelings. Knowledge and understanding resulting from feelings will make us understand the mind correctly. When we practice the mind to be one pointed by mindfulness on breathing, anapanasati. Mental images are indicators indicating whether mind becomes concentrated, how much it is so. Mental images appear in the mind when the mind becomes concentrated in each level, starting from the level of momentary concentration to the level of jhana state absorption. The fourth jhana is the highest level. Mental images can indicate whether our practice is correct, whether or not the mind becomes one-pointed. When analyzing mind, we must bear in mind about its uniqueness. The mind never stays still. It is a state of constant flux. It does not remain for 2 consecutive minutes the same. It is like a monkey who is always naughty, never stays still all the time. This is the real state of mind we should know and bear in mind. In order to train mind effectively, we must know the above basic nature of mind and know how to control sensation and feelings, and must mindfully note them. Knowing the weak points of mind, it is easy for us to train it fruitfully. Concentration concerns 3 features: one-pointed mind, calm mind, mind mindfully noting one sense object. We should consider and analyze them so that we can understand concentration correctly. One-pointed mind. Concentration meditation practice means training mind to be one-pointed, focusing on one sense object only. Where is the mind one-pointed? Where is the trained mind? The trained mind is focused on the body. Concentration meditation is exercised in order that we can know the truth of life body. This is to make mind concentration on the body. Herein is the practice by mindfulness on breathing. This is to mindfully note respiration at the tip of the nose. It means that mind is to be concentrated on the body. To mindfully note the breathing at the tip of the nose is done by directing the mind to watch at it. Doing so is against the nature of mind. It will be difficult to train mind to be well established if we do not abate it in accordance with the nature of mind. How can we know whether the trained mind becomes one-pointed? Mental images are indicators. If the trained mind becomes established, mental images will appear according to the level of one-pointedness of mind. We have to notice and remember them and compare them with what is mentioned in theory so that we can know how much of progress we can make. It is stated that the mind has become one-pointed. Is it by Buddhist means? Means for concentration meditation practice are both Buddhist and non-Buddhist. Which one is Buddhist? What has to be considered on this issue? The main objective of concentration meditation practice in Buddhism is to inhibit, weaken, attenuate, and annihilate completely all defilements in mind for cessation of suffering eventually. If the purpose of the practice is different from what is mentioned, it is not the concentration meditation practice by Buddhist means. The mind has to be one-pointed at a certain level that it is deficient enough to fight against defilements. What level was that? 1. The mind that is one-pointed at the level of momentary concentration. Kanika Samadhi is efficient enough despite a small amount of one-pointedness if it is insight meditation, which is the most direct means for annihilation of defilements. 2. If it is a concentration meditation or tranquility meditation, mind is trained to mindfully note one sense object only. This is to train the mind of which the nature is the state of constant flux to be concentrated. The mind has to develop concentration to 4 absorption states, jhana, and it will then be efficient enough. When the mind can be concentrated to such a degree, we have to maintain such wholesome state all the time. The mind will thus be efficient for the supreme goal of Buddhism, that is the attainment of nibbana, the extinction of all defilements and suffering. It is very beneficial for us to know whether the mind is concentrated enough, to what level the concentration is progressing. If it is not so, we have to strive more and more towards the mentioned supreme goal. Mental images are indicators of the levels of one-pointedness of mind. We will then understand that the power of tranquility cannot annihilate completely defilements. Calm mind. Another meaning of a concentration meditation practice is to make mind calm. Calm mind is the mind that is not conditioned by sense objects, the mind that is not restless, and the mind that mindfully notes only the sense objects of the practice. How can we know whether the mind is calm? We have to notice the characteristics of restless mind. We then compare between calm mind and restless mind by ourselves. As a result, we will understand their difference. When the mind is calm, it means that the mind becomes one-pointed. This is concentration meditation practice. Mind mindfully noting one sense object. Concentration means that the mind mindfully notes the one sense object only. It is impossible that we train the mind to be one-pointed at several sense objects at the same time. Mind can be trained to be one-pointed at one sense object only how long the one-pointedness will last. That is why Buddhism renders the method to train mind to be one-pointed of one sense object as long as one can do and do the highest level of one-pointedness that one can develop. Concentration meditation, one method of mental exercise in Buddhism, has 40 stations. Mind is trained to be one-pointed at one sense object only at each base of practice. The mind will then become calm and one-pointed more easily. Insight is wisdom to see the truth of compounded things as they really are. The truth of compounded things comprises 3 characteristics: anicca, impermanence; change, dukkha, suffering, difficulty to stay the same; and anatta, selflessness, subject to decay at last. Insight is wisdom. How is the wisdom? What is the wisdom resulting from insight practice? It is this wisdom to see the truth of compounded things. Therefore, the practice by insight meditation is the means to generate wisdom, and it is the wisdom resulting from insight into truth of compounded things. That is the truth of compounded things in Buddhism teachings. All compounded things, both with mind living things and without mind non-living things such as materials elements, have the truth in common, that is anicca, impermanence; change, dukkha, suffering, difficult to stay the same; and anatta, selflessness, subject to decay. Finally, they are the 3 common characteristics in Buddhism. In short, the common truth of all common compounded things, living and non-living things, is suffering, difficulty of staying unchanged. Therefore, the wisdom resulting from insight meditation, vipassana, is the wisdom to see the truth of suffering according to the 3 characteristics, tilakahana, especially the truth of our life, to see whether it is suffering, how the suffering is. Attaining such an insight into suffering is the attainment of enlightenment. Therefore, we are to know and understand that truths of suffering comprise impermanence, anicca, difficulty of staying in change, dukkha, and selflessness, subject to decay at last, anatta. Therefore, insight meditation is exercised to train mind to generate wisdom to see the truth of all compounded things, especially our life, since the mind is inside the body but still has no mindfulness and awareness. This is the main objective of the practice. In fact, our life is a state of suffering as mentioned above, but we do not pay attention to our life. To the mentioned truth, we do not study about the truth of life thoroughly. We struggle to earn our living day to day. We thus misunderstand about our life since the mind is occupied by ignorance. That is why the Buddha taught all Buddhist people to know how to practice insight meditation, vipassana, to develop wisdom to see the truth, compounded things which is suffering, dukkha, both mental and non-mental. The mentioned suffering, dukkha, is a state of constant arising and passing away of the mind and matter, rupanama. This is impermanence, anicca. To study and exercise insight meditation, we are to know the mind and the matter. The mind and matter are the most important things of vipassana practice because they are the only sense objects of the practice. Our life is composed of two main components, body and matter, rupa, which is tangible in mind, nama, which is intangible, and which perceives all feelings of body regarding sensation, vedana, perception, sana, component things, sakhara, and consciousness, vinana. To conclude, our life is a state of constant arising and passing away of the mind and matter, which makes us misunderstand that it is ourselves. In fact, our life is a state of suffering every moment of breathing. Insight meditation is exercise to cultivate wisdom to know thoroughly such truth of life. It is wholesome wisdom which can annihilate completely all defilements, greed, aversion, and ignorance. Basic requirements for progression in insight meditation are as follows. 1. Purity of morality. The first step of insight practice is to observe precepts and to observe them perfectly. There are 5 precepts, 10 precepts, and 227 precepts for monks, etc. We are to choose a suitable one to observe. 2. Purity of mind. We must have intention to purify the mind to be free from defilements, to make the mind even-minded, not scattered, to relieve the mind from all suffering. 3. Purity of understanding. It is pure understanding about life that it has 3 common characteristics: impermanence, anicca, difficulty to stay and change, dukkha, and selflessness, subject to decay at last, anatta, according to Buddhist teachings. 2. When will mind develop concentration and insight? When will mind not develop concentration and insight? There are 2 types of unwholesome fetters which prevent meditation practitioners from attaining concentration and insight. There are 5 destroyers, mara, and 5 hindrances, nivarana. 5 destroyers, mara, means what which obstructs people from performing wholesomeness or attaining the sublime objective. What which destroys wholesomeness? 1. The mara of defilements. Defilements inhibit wholesomeness. 2. The mara of aggregates. 5 aggregates are not permanent. 3. The mara of karma formations, vice, virtue, conditions, violational actions. 4. The mara of deity. Deity prevents people from attaining wholesomeness. 5. The mara of death. Death ends chances to make wholesome progress. 5 hindrances, nirvana, are unwholesome dhamma, which fetters mind to attain wholesomeness, makes mind melancholy, and weakens the strength of wisdom. 1. Sensual desires. Satisfaction of 5 sensual pleasures, which are beautiful form, sweet sound, good smell, delicious taste, and pleasant tactile sensation. 2. Ill will, comprising grudge, revenge, offensiveness. 3. Sloth and torpor. 4. Distraction and restlessness. 5. Doubt, i.e. doubt in the Buddhist teachings. The major fetters to make concentration meditation, insight meditation, produce no results are 5 destroyers and 5 hindrances. There still be some other minor fetters such as discontinuous practice, lack of perseverance, and food consumption. Eat only a little. If we understand the 10 mentioned fetters and succeed in defeating them, the mind trained for concentration meditation and insight meditation will be able to develop concentration and insight eventually. In addition, we have to practice continuously throughout 24 hours, strive attentively for the practice all the time, and control food consumption to be at appropriate portion. The factor for developing concentration and insight can be summarized as follows. 1. Purity of morality. Both concentration meditation and insight meditation require pure observation of precepts. Perseverance. The doctrines of perseverance for the practice are A. 4 efforts. Panhana, comprising the effort to prevent, an effort to overcome, and the effort to develop, and the effort to maintain. B. 4 paths of accomplishment. Iddhipada, compromising aspiration, effort, thoughtfulness, and examination. 3. Triumph over 10 fetters, preventing mind from attaining wholesomeness. There are 5 destroyers, mara, and 5 hindrances, nirvana. 4. Continuous practice throughout 24 hours. In addition, eat only a small amount of food and eat only when feeling hungry. 5. Suitability for the practice, i.e. abode, food, air, one's own sensations, etc. 3. Where will concentration and insight be developed? Where to practice concentration and insight meditation? In Buddhism, the objective of concentration meditation is to bully, tyrannize defilements to be under the power of concentration so that they cannot manifest as unwholesomeness through the body and speech. Insight meditation is aimed to develop wisdom to attenuate, relinquish, and annihilate completely all defilements. Both concentration meditation and insight meditation are the practice to train our mind. The practices have to be exercised within the body because the mind is in the body. Therefore, when we train the mind, we have to train it at the body by using the body as the base for mindfulness in concentration meditation and insight meditation. This is, in fact, to train mind to cultivate knowledge and understanding on the truth of life by practicing mind to develop mindfulness and awareness. In reality, our life is a state of suffering. People do not realize this truth of life because the mind is always governed by defilements. That is why we must practice concentration meditation and insight meditation. The place that is suitable for the fruitful practices and helps maintain concentration is the place that can render 7 aspects of suitability as follows. 1. Suitable abode. Living place suitable for one's character, i.e., not busy place. 2. Suitable resort. Suitable location where it is easy to find food, to receive food offerings, e.g. a village, a community, where food is sufficient and not too far. 3. Suitable speech. Suitable talk, profitable talk, wholesome talk. 4. Suitable person, those with moral principles, good friendship. 5. Suitable food, good food, suitable for body, good for health. 6. Suitable climate, good nature, good environment, good climate, e.g. not too cold, not too hot. 7. Suitable posture, walking posture may suit some and sitting posture may suit others. In short, suitable place should be woods, hills, caves, or deserted houses which are calm, lonely, not too far from the villages, and possess 7 features of suitability. 4. Why do concentration and insight meditation have to be practiced? We have to do concentration meditation and insight meditation in order to develop our mind to thrive and improve by purifying the mind to be free from all defilements, greed, anger, ignorance, which make the mind unpleasant. In Buddhism, the way to develop mind to be free from defilements comprise concentration meditation and insight meditation. Concentration meditation is aimed to bully, to tyrannize defilements to be under the power of concentration. The mind is thus calm, free from defilements from moment to moment. We cannot eradicate them completely like a stone sitting on grasses. When the stone is removed, grasses will grow as usual. Insight meditation is exercise to train mind to develop wisdom to be able to weaken, deplete, and annihilate completely defilements. The objective of both concentration meditation and insight meditation is to purify mind to be free from defilements, greed, anger, and ignorance. Being able to practice the mind to cultivate concentration and insight, the mind can develop wisdom to see the truth of life. This can really destroy derangements in mind caused by defilements, greed, aversion, and ignorance, which govern the mind of people in general. Therefore, concentration meditation and insight meditation are exercised mainly to end derangements. When we make progress in concentration meditation, insight meditation, the defilements in the mind will be diluted. The mind then will become gradually purer. That is why concentration meditation and insight meditation have to be exercised. They are the most correct methods for mind development to attain the supreme goal in Buddhism. 5. How to practice concentration meditation, insight meditation. How are the results of the practice? The methods for concentration meditation, insight meditation are as mentioned earlier. Concentration meditation is exercise to empower the mind to be able to bully, tyrannize defilements by the power of mental concentration. Defilements are not annihilated, but they become calm for a moment. The mind becomes increasingly calm to several levels, but it does not attain the ultimate goal in Buddhism, Nibbana. This is the result of concentration meditation. Insight meditation is aimed to train mind to develop wisdom of insight into the truth of life. With such wisdom, we can eradicate completely defilements and attain the supreme goal in Buddhism, Nibbana. This is the result of insight meditation. The result of concentration meditation and insight meditation, which are powers, are called the 6 super knowledge, abhyana. 1. Magical powers. Idhividha, knowledge of miracle presentation. 2. Divine ear. Nibasutta. 3. Telepathy. Sitopariyanana, penetration of the mind of others. 4. Retrocognition. Pubinavasanusati, remembrance of former existence. 5. Divine eye. Nibakaku. 6. Knowledge of the exhaustion of all mental intoxicants. Savakayana.